You're listening to a download from the outdoorstation.co.uk. Number 542.
Hello and welcome back to the Outdoors Station. This is a continuation of the recycled 2006 10-part TGO Challenge series, which for some reason is missing from the current listing. Sadly, certain voices you hear, such as Andy Howell, Steve Perry and a few others, are no longer with us. 2006 seems like a long time ago now. However, although equipment that people use may have changed, the spirit, the emotion and the adventure the challenge represents will always remain the same. So for those who like long distance trail diaries, enjoy.
Hi, I'm Lorraine McCall and you're listening to Podcast Bob on his long trek across Scotland.
Brace yourselves!
Backpackinglight.co.uk.
The UK's first outdoor podcasting show.
Minimum weight.
Maximum fun.
Hello and welcome to this special Backpacking Light podcast 10-part series recorded as part of the 2006 TGO Challenge, sponsored by the Great Outdoors magazine and Berghaus. For those of you who don't know, the TGO Challenge is an organised walk which takes place in May of each year from the west coast to the east coast of Scotland, which is approximately 200 miles. Set up in 1980, the framework and principle is totally unique. It isn't a race or a competition of any kind. The object is to foster good fellowship among walkers within the framework of a challenging expedition. The start consists of 12 sign-out locations on the west coast, from Torridon in the north down to Ardrishaig in the south, and each challenger, solo or group, makes their way via a high route, low route or mixture of the two across Scotland to finish anywhere between Arbroath and Fraserburgh on the east coast. There's a set 2-week window to do this in, and each participant submits their route for inspection prior to departure for safety and advice reasons. The places, however, are limited to 300, and details about the event, if you're interested, and entry forms and past diaries can be found in the October issue of TGO magazine. Each participant makes the challenge as easy or as hard as they wish. The extremes can be a solitary, remote route, sometimes not seeing another person for days on end, or a route which takes in the many social events, perhaps using established accommodation all the way. Most people do a mixture of the two in different forms. This year, I undertook the crossing with my wife Rose, from Lochailort to Dunatar Castle. As we went, I recorded this audio diary to try and capture the atmosphere and to share our experience and those of the many people we met en route. The 2006 TGO Challenge, Part 3. Sunday the 16th sees Shirley, Rose and I part company with the rest at Kingbreek Bothy and take the Deerstalkers track up Gairish on a dull, overcast day. After taking photos on the top and having a snack, we start to make our way down when disaster strikes. Shirley sadly takes a nasty fall, and we suspect she's cracked a rib on the vertical rocky section. You can hear how the day ends in much relief at the Tom Doon Hotel, a distance of 21.7 kilometres, a climb of 1,033 metres and a descent of 1,085. It was a long day. The following day, on Monday the 17th, well, it happens to be our wedding anniversary, and proves to be an equally long day of 30 kilometres, a climb of 507 metres and a descent of 619, which takes us through the Glengarry Forest via Invergarry down to Fort Augustus. Here we enjoy a good night and the company of Trevor Fellows and John Round sitting at the next table. They're not challengers, but they are a couple of guys doing the Great Glen Way. But first, let's get back to our climb up Gairich.
Last night in the Bothy it was a bit of fun. We all gathered around to cook our various meals and chatted by the fire. got an upstairs sleeping platform and a fire, which is quite cosy for the guys that stayed in there, and we were sitting around the table chewing the fat, and all of a sudden Lorraine's brand new sandals caught fire because they were too close to the fireplace, and a bit of lit paper fell on them, I think. And then she discovered she had a tick, so Shirley, being fascinated with creatures, instantly leapt for a camera to take pictures, while Steve heroically leapt with a pair of tweezers to yank it out. So that was quite interesting. Then I was glad to produce and share our podcast brick that we had brought with us from home, that being a cake that Rose had left me to take out the oven when she went out one evening, but I was too busy podcasting, and it was slightly overdone to the point which it took a little bit of cutting, but it went down nice with a brew and a sip of whiskey. And the four of them stayed in the bothy, which apparently was quite warm, and Rose and I and the other couple, so Gavin and Graham, camped outside. But it was a beautiful night, very quiet, very still, as is the beauty of this place. So, plan of action today is to get over the top of here, which we're almost there now, head down the other side along the East Ridge down to Tom Doon, and then play it by ear. It sounds like most people are meeting up again at Tom Doon Bunkhouse or the hotel, and we'll see if they've got any spaces at the bunkhouse. If not, if we can camp, and failing that, we'll just wander on for a bit longer and bed down for the night somewhere. So this is day 3, a Sunday, on the top of Gairich, as still as you could possibly believe. Odd patches of snow, and apart from my heartbeat and the breathing and the creak of the rucksack, absolutely no sound whatsoever.
Well, it just goes to show you how things can change in a very short period of time. The last bit I added to the diary is at getting close to the top of Gairich at 919 metres. Everything was going well at the Deerstalker's Path, and we met a few people on the top, had a bit of a chat, before heading down the rocky section, heading east towards the forest. Well, it was all going so well. Rose and I were wandering down in front of Shirley, and Rose mentioned she'd heard a faint call. Shirley was calling our name. I was sure she was on the phone chatting to somebody because she was behind taking a photograph. But no, she insisted she heard something. So we dumped our packs and we went back to make sure everything was okay. Sadly, we found Shirley face down on the slope, not in the best of health. She had broken some ribs sometime in the past, and she recognised the pain. She had somehow stumbled and fallen, complete with pack, down the rocky section, and wasn't in a very good way at all. Anyway, we administered as much first aid as we could, made some key decisions. She felt she could carry on and at least get to the bottom of the steep section before making a major decision. So we dumped the bag. I assisted her down. Rose went up and down the rock face several times, shifting rucksacks to get everybody down to the level section before we could assess the damage. We got Shirley into some painkillers, and she was obviously in a very, very painful, uncomfortable way, and she actually, in fact, fainted at one stage. So we were in touch and go whether we would call in the air rescue. Anyway, she insisted on carrying on, that she was okay, so we then continued all the way heading for the head of the reservoir, which wasn't where we initially intended to go, but it was the best option. And we also coincidentally had met another walker who was just behind us, who sort of caught up with us at the stage of the incident and offered to give us a lift wherever we wanted to go, which was very good of him. And that's just exactly what happened. The next 4.5 hours it took us to get down. We very carefully and painstakingly aided P. Wiglet to get down that track. She was in a lot of pain. Every stumble, every step, every tumble, every bog was excruciatingly painful, and we had to stop many times, as anybody who's broken or cracked ribs will know, Steve Perry included. So we eventually made it down to the dam. Thankfully, the hiker Paul was there offering his services, and he ran us down to the Tom Doone Hotel, which wasn't where we intended to be this evening, I have to say, but it wasn't a big problem. And thankfully, the Tom Doone Hotel were very good. They got space for Shirley, so she was taken in and sorted, and we decided to, rather than camp the night, because we were fairly tired from the stress of the day, we decided to use the bunkhouse. Well, for future reference, the bunkhouse is a little bit basic, a little bit better than a bothy, but not much. But having said that, we've had a fantastic meal in the hotel, which Shirley insisted on treating us to, which was gorgeous garlic soup, followed by langoustines, which are to die for. And we've come back after a couple of bevies into the bunkhouse, and things aren't so bad because, as you can probably hear, I've got a little roaring fire going in the background. So we're settling down now to a couple of candles lit in the room, a roaring fire, a day's adventure behind us. Obviously, we've let control know exactly what's been going on, and we've met various other challenges here, all of which have been very sympathetic to Shirley's condition. And she heroically is insisting that she wants to carry on, but we'll wait until tomorrow until we get the full update on that score. So that's pretty well us on Sunday evening. A bit of an adventurous day, a total of 975 metres climbed. It's taken us far longer than we anticipated, but at least at the end of the day, it's a happy ending to something which could have turned even more serious than it initially appeared to be, I have to say. And it's not the nicest place to fall down, I have to say. And it does bring to mind, as we've mentioned on several times during the day, just how incredible it was that Steve Perry did his Winter Monroe trip in the conditions that he did it in solo. Because if, as it happened to him, he cracked some ribs on a fall, he had to sort himself out. And it just goes to show you that it wasn't a bad day weather-wise today. We were very lucky. But in winter conditions, it would have been another thing completely. Well, here we are. 7 o'clock or earlier on, what day is it? Monday the 15th. We've just emerged from the bunkhouse after a okay night, I suppose. The fire made a big difference in there, made it a bit more cosy. But just before we tucked in for the night, Rose found a tick on her. So we set about removing that with a pair of tweezers and a little bit of a love and affection. And then we found another 24, which made her for an entertaining half an hour, hunting all over her body, finding these things. She seemed to be infested with them. Thankfully, when the favour was returned, not one was found on me. I've been bitten a lot by mozzies or whatever. But so far, I'm tick-free, which is rather pleasing. Anyway, the cloud is quite low today, probably a couple hundred metres, I would think. There's a steady light drizzle. Everything is still beautifully, lusciously green. The Tom Doon Hotel is quite an interesting little exercise. Sort of work in progress, I think, is basically the best way to describe it. Everything is sort of half done and left lying around, but the food's excellent, and the atmosphere it creates is there. It's quite nice, and certainly the fireplaces and stuff are lovely. But just looking forward to the start of our anniversary day, which involves walking 10-15 miles down to Fort Augustus, probably through the forest streets. We decided to change our route a bit today. Hopefully we'll see how Shirley is when she gets up, and get her sorted if we can, and then head down to Fort Augustus for a night of pampering, and that means hot and cold water. But we'll fill you in as we go through the day, and obviously chat with anybody else we meet en route. Well, what a difference half an hour or so can make. The hotel have offered us, all the people in the bunkhouse, to have a bath should we desire, and I think everybody's taken them up on it. Oh, what a difference. Bit of warm water, no matter what colour it is.
Orange water goes down fine when you needed one.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we haven't really had probably a wash for, 3-4 days now?
Don't talk too loud, the pack sort of reeks a little.
Does it? Well, I can't smell it. That's one of the advantages of a blocked nose. Yeah, everything is much better with the world. So I'm going to try and track down Shirley now. I think I saw her having a breakfast, and just see how she is this morning. But I'm feeling clean and fit and raring to go. How about you?
Well, I'm getting there. Every freckle I kept looking at thinking, is that a tick he's missed? But apart from that, no.
Well, you'll be glad to know that during my bath I discovered that, in fact, I wasn't tick immune. I've got several for you to pull out, so we'll get down and share that moment, shall we?
I think we should.
Happy anniversary, darling.
And you, sweetie.
So we left Tom Doon Hotel this morning after checking with Shirley that she was okay and she'd slept fairly well under the circumstances. She's making arrangements to get down to the next stop point at Fort Augustus and seek medical attention, which was reassuring. But she seemed brighter in herself, and certainly, although she was obviously in pain and discomfort, she seemed confident that she wants to battle on in some way. So today will make the difference, and when she's got some advice, I'm sure she'll know what's the best thing to do. Rose, I and Tony Hardman, we set off and thought we'd go down the road a bit and then cross over the bridge and go through the forest, where there's a bit of logging work going on. So we've been diverted through a few paths, and we're just getting out of the forest now, heading down towards Inverie, where we perhaps hope to stop for a bite to eat, a bit of lunch perhaps, before making our way across country to Fort Augustus. We've yet to decide on the route. It's changed a bit since yesterday. It's been a pleasant morning with Tony. Company always helps to pass the time. The weather's it's just been a dull day really, but a sprinkle of rain from time to time. Some beautiful streams and waterfalls we're just passing. Gorgeous. Of course, weather like this brings out the greens in the leaves and the new growth on the trees, and everything just looks so luscious. It's wonderful. But it's easy underfoot. It's not too bad. It's sort of a good shale, solid road, so it's not too uncomfortable. And we've seen some hairy coos on the way who just stand there and watch us go by, which is quite nice. And just basically knocking off the quays to get down to the main road. I can see we're almost there now. I can hear traffic in the distance, the sound of civilization. So we'll be down there shortly. So that's just a brief update really as to where we are and what we're doing. Tony is heading round to Lagan today. I'm not too sure where he's going after that. We said he'd go up the Fairy Glen after that.
and we'll probably go up the Corriac Pass tomorrow after a night of luxury. So, I'll catch up with you later.
We got to Invergary only to find the shop was closed, the cafe was now closed, and a pub with no electricity. So we continued to the Bridge of Oich before the last long, lonely leg alongside the Caledonian Canal to Fort Augustus. We were really tired, very despondent, and very, very footsore. So the fabulous wedding anniversary accommodation, the Nauru Lodge, lifted our spirits like you would not believe. So once refreshed, we set off to the Lochside Inn for a wedding anniversary slap-up meal of fish and chips. Yes, I know how to treat a girl. As we were waiting for our meal, we got chatting to two guys on the next table, Trevor Fellows and John Round. And although they weren't challengers, they obviously enjoyed their walking.
Yeah, we're doing the Great Glen Way, which is Fort William to Inverness. And it's 73 miles, and we're doing it over 5 days. Okay. We started off at Fort William, did about 10 and a half to Gairlocha, and we just finished the second leg, which is about 22 miles. So we are not carrying our bags. We've decided some time ago on long distance paths where there was a courier service, we'd use it. And that's what we're doing this time. We carry a day sack, and that just the essentials, which is dryer gear, waterproofs, and water and food. And so that's what we tend to do.
Just the basics, but yeah. You're getting the pleasure out of it. You're enjoying it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's more pleasurable in a way because it's, as John always says, it's a great phrase he uses. It should be enjoyed and not endured.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we're finding that by not having to carry heavy weights, then you can enjoy it a lot more.
Okay. Now you've done the West Highland Way before, haven't you?
We've done it twice. Yeah, we did it in 1998 and in 2005. It's a real hoolie every night. We met so many interesting people. We've met people from Australia, America, Canada, Germany, Norway. Just walking the West Highland. There's so many people travel to this country to do particularly the walks in the Lake District in England and the West Highland Way in Scotland. It's got an immense amount of fans, as it were. Yeah.
When you did the West Highland Way, then were you doing it sort of traditional, the whole hog with a full backpacking kit, or were you doing it the same way, sort of lightweight?
The first time we carried everything. We still stayed in B&Bs, but we carried everything, all our night gear to go out in the evenings. So it was 70-litre packs we carried, and now the second time we used couriers, and we're doing down to 25-litre rucksacks. So it is much better. So
when you're going out during the day, then, what are the things that really gives you maximum pleasure? Is it the views, or just taking your time and not having to worry about the load sort of thing? Yeah,
no, it's not so much the worrying about the load. I think that does add to it, but there's certainly the views and the fact is you can do it. The fact is you're pushing yourselves, and at the same time having a holiday, and at the same time meeting people. It's not. You shouldn't. We believe that you shouldn't just get your head down and go. You should sort of take in where you are and what's around you. And as I say, you meet some fabulous people. So it's the light of the pack, or the lightweight pack, has helped us maybe concentrate a bit more on what's around you rather than just getting your head down and as I say, just being a chore. Yeah. Which is what you don't want.
No, absolutely.
There's no point in that.
So is it this time of year, May time of year, is this a regular thing you two guys get away with, and it's a regular holiday?
Get away with is exactly right, yeah. We're allowed a week away together, and we make the most of it as well, yeah.
So how many years have you been doing this for?
Probably best part of 10 years. We've done walking in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England. We haven't done any abroad yet, have we? We haven't been abroad. But when we get the week a year, way to go on a long distance walk. And apart from that, we try and go out most months. There's places near where we live in the Midlands, and we get out to a place like Church Stretton, which is a lot of peaks, the Peak District. So we can get away. Maybe try to go away maybe once a month, just one day a month to keep yourself fit.
And the type of sort of walks and backpacking you do then is like this, using a local hostelry rather than camping and that sort of stuff?
Yes, it is, yeah. It's, I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's the fact that we like a bit of luxury and a bit of comfort.
Anything wrong with that?
I think it is an age thing also. I mean, I'm in my 60s now, so I'm not going to perhaps have the wherewithal as I had, 20 years ago to do it. But it's still, there's people, we've walked with people who are well in the 70s, and there was a couple of old guys we met on the coast to coast who, that was a wonderful tale. This guy, he was well in his 70s, wasn't he? And he was walking with a friend back to Blacksail Youth Hostel in the Lake District, where he first met his wife, who passed away, and he'd met her about 50 years previous at that point, and he made a bit of a pilgrimage to there. And you meet so many interesting people with tales to tell. Last year we walked with police inspectors, special branch, a girl from special branch, a professor from Liverpool University, doctor. We were the most interesting people there.
So you've obviously you've walked in, as you say, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, so presumably England as well. Because obviously I gather from your accent, you're Midlands guys. How do the three countries compare? What was it like walking in Ireland, for example?
Well, it was good. We did the Ring of Kerry and McGillicuddy's Reeks and. On the corner, the dingle. We walked around there, yeah. And I mean, it's beautiful, fabulous walks. I think John's always said, it's a pity life isn't like people on the walks. It's because they all look out for one another. If we met some guys today, one got blisters, so we gave him some sort of, and we've had the same thing. People look out. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. People tend to just stop and help you, and you meet up with them in a pub, and everything is equal. You just got one goal, and that's to get to the other end unscathed if you can. And we've had some fabulous times in at night. I mean, the walking's fabulous, and that is. But to have to meet up at night and swap stories and have the crack, is fantastic.
It's going home is the problem, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely, yeah. But we only get a week, so we've got to go home. Yeah.
Well, we've just got back from the pub in Fort Augustus, and we've about to settle down in the Nauru Lodge, which is a lovely guest house in Fort Augustus. Should anybody want to look for one, very, very welcoming hosts. But we've had a fantastic meal down at the Lochside Inn, which specialise in seafood meals. And we just had something simple like haddock and chips, but it was just bliss. Whether it was bliss because we spent 4 days away from some really decent cooked food, or it was actually just perfect, I don't know. But really, to be honest, we don't care. It was fabulous. We've bumped into Shirley. We went to the Bothy next door, which was another pub, and we bumped into Shirley there along with Graham and Gavin, and caught up with her antics today, and lo and behold, she had managed to struggle on down the road with this injured rib from Tom Doon all the way to Fort Augustus. Unbelievable. So we may catch up with her tomorrow and see her on the Corriac Pass. So that's about it, really. It's been a sort of an interesting day. It's been... several people have mentioned that the path down the side of the Caledonian Canal from Bridge of Oich down to Fort Augustus is a pain in the neck. And it's true, because the wind comes whistling off Loch Ness and goes hurtling down the canal, and it is a head-down, cold chill, pound-on type of walk. It's a good, 8k, and it will take about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, and you're just battling against it all the way. So just be aware of that situation. It's a very easy path. There's nothing complicated, and it's certainly very flat going all the way. It's just laboriously boring. Otherwise, it's been a fairly straightforward day. We got off the road just after Invergarry. Before we got down to the Bridge of Oich, there's a footpath that takes you through the forest there, which actually is a lot safer than going down the main road. I'm sorry, I mistaked Invergarry for Inverie earlier on. Do apologise. Yeah, I mean, it's fairly laborious stuff really, but it's either that or you head further west over some of the mountain range there, which can actually be fairly damp underfoot. So it's a matter of choice. Invergarry was disappointing in the sense that the cafe now is closed down. It's all been sort of put to one side, and there is a hotel there, but the hotel is pretty unapproachable. They tell you quite strictly to take your boots off outside, walkers, so you feel fairly unwelcome, to say the least. Although we were going to have some lunch there, they actually had a problem with water, so there was no staff on or anything. And the other shops in the Invergarry area have all closed. So the only place to get anything of any interest was just round the corner at a petrol station, and that sells the usual petrol station fare. So once the sandwiches and the pork pies had disappeared, there wasn't anything much of interest to eat. So we left Tony to go round to Lagan. We went down to the Bridge of Oich, as I said, and there's really nothing down there either. If you are in need of some sustenance, there is a cafe which is actually on the main A82. So you have to cross over the bridge over the Caledonian Canal and go half a mile down the road. And there's a cafe there, but then you have to turn back to get back down to the pathway, which will take you down to Fort Augustus. Or, of course, you can backtrack off that and go through the forest to take you down there. But it can be a little bit misleading. There's more paths than anything else. So that brings to an end day 4. Yes, very interesting, all going well. Tomorrow I think we'll all settle into things really, and head up the pass, up General Wade's Road, and we'll see how we get on when we get to the top and what decisions we make then.
This brings us to the end of part 3. In the next episode, we head up the Corrieric Pass. We chat with Shirley and find out exactly how the accident happened, and Stefan Leyland tells us how he got conned into doing the challenge by his father Terry. And we eventually arrive safely in Kungussie after a very stormy night.
Hey, you're listening to One Man's podcast across Scotland, to be continued very soon.
Backpackinglight.co.uk.
Go lighter, go faster, go further.
To subscribe to our show, please follow the instructions on our website or search for us in the iTunes directory.
Thank you, and good night.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To hear or see more from our extensive free library, please visit theoutdoorstation.co.uk.